Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Tall Tales with TallGamer, and we're here again at Apollo Games in Round Rock, Texas. And I have with me Kynan, and I did pronounce that right?
You pronounced it
All
correct.
right, cool. So today we're going to be talking about consoles and game development as per usual. But Kynan, if you want to give a background of yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Kynan Pearson. Currently I'm creative director at Bluepoint Games here in Austin, Texas. Previously I was at 343 Industries. I was the lead multiplayer level designer on Halo 4. And before that I was at Retro, where I worked on Donkey Kong Country and some of the Metroid Prime games.
So yeah, you probably heard of some of those games, I'm sure. Right. So that's awesome, man. So now, so that's what? That's the Nintendo, not Revolution. I forgot the name of the cube.
Oh,
GameCube.
the GameCube, Wii.
The GameCube, the Wii,
360.
and the 360. So now, out of all of those consoles, which one was your favorite to design for?
It's kind of a hard question to answer. I think in general, I just like console development, period, because it offers a fixed platform so you can take advantage of the hardware. And so while I think that there are certain things about the Wii in terms of motion controls and whatever that are certain that people find that they like or dislike. I think the Wii as a hardware was a great transition just because we were moving from GameCube directly into Wii development, and it was an easy platform to just pick up on and just completely carry over. We could do a lot of experimental things with the controller, which was also interesting because it changed kind of the landscape for games at the time. But yeah, I think that the Wii was really fun to develop for.
Cool. And so now we're, of course, getting ready to start our next generation of consoles, and we got the Xbox One and the PS4, and now the big thing for me, or the big thing that I've noticed about the consoles, is their integration with the mobile components, right? So either your Surface tablet, or your PS Vita, or your an Android tablet, for that matter. How does that affect the way you think about design? So, like when obviously you're used to a console, but does it affect you in ways that you didn't think about before, as far as those integrations?
It's definitely a consideration. Right now, everyone's looking for making multi-screen experiences. So having something that you can play at your house, and then whenever you leave, that there's still something that you're taking with you on your mobile phone or on another device. It's interesting because I still personally haven't seen an example that I thought was what I would want personally. Just because I think whenever you're dealing with a touch device like an iPhone or an iPad, the interface is so different than what you're using at home that the experience has to be completely different. Because if you're not tailoring it towards that control scheme of just a touch, then it's not going to carry over. Like emulated controls never really work out on the phone or on a pad. But even by its nature, touching a screen means that you're covering a portion of the screen with your interaction.
Yep.
And so you've got to think of something that doesn't require an amount of precision or timing or a certain fidelity of control whenever you're developing. And so you have to choose something that really caters to that hardware and that platform. And that's something that I think in general, if you look at a lot of the most successful games on the iOS devices or on Android, Windows Phone and all that, they rely more on simple mechanics that don't necessarily require a certain amount of, like, there's a certain amount of sloppiness to what they do with them to allow them to be accessible and to work. And I think that kind of going roundabout to what you were asking, you have to develop for that platform, and you have to do something that both adds to your experience, because you don't want to do it while you're playing that game. Like, you're playing at home and you're going through your core experience for that game. But then when you're on the go, you don't want to have to coordinate with friends when you've got that free 10 minutes of time to play. So it's got to be something that you can just do without necessarily being connected in a multiplayer experience or whatever, because that requires kind of just a perfect moment to do, and a lot of times whenever you whip out your phone, it's when you're waiting for something or whenever you just have some time to waste.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think in general, it's definitely something to think about, and there are things that you can do well with it, but I actually look forward to kind of experimenting with that at some point in my career.
Okay.
But
And can you talk about what you're working on right now, or?
not necessarily. At Bluepoint right now, we've got multiple projects going on, and so I'm working on original development, but I can't say anything necessarily.
Don't want to get you in trouble. Don't want you to lose your job, that's for sure. Right on. So now, and it's funny, I almost forgot my last question. Yes. So actually, we kind of covered that last question. But so one of the other things I know that I wanted to get a chance to talk to you about is your blog. I happened upon that when Jules actually introduced me to you, and I saw all of these design ideas. And so what's the purpose, and why do you do that? Why do you give out these design ideas that could be $1 million winners?
So with a lot of those, it's just kind of a design experiment, and really it's just to work through different problems. I think Twitter is an awesome format for trying to communicate an idea to people, just because you have so few characters to use to express an idea, and therefore the idea itself has to be, interesting enough to catch attention, and then also clear enough in its description that people can understand it in a very short span of time. And so I don't actually mind if people use the ideas that are expressed there. They're things that I'm not necessarily going to do, but in game development, it's all about execution. Like, an idea is only one part of it, but executing on that idea is the important component.
That is very true.
The people that have the ability to execute incredibly well on a concept or on an idea pretty much have their own ideas. And so they might be inspired by something, but everybody's inspired by something. It's a remix culture, so.
Yeah, that is for sure. That's definitely for sure. And then, man, I'm so sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. We were actually talking about your artwork earlier, and so do you do a lot of artwork on that blog? I didn't see a lot. I saw mostly the game designs.
Yeah, I post up random sketches here and there, just stuff that I do whenever I'm doodling in pen. I don't do any, I guess, more polished digital art. Usually I kind of keep that stuff for the side, or I do that stuff at work. But yeah, so I mean, there's things up there that I do draw and post, but again, it's just kind of for fun.
All right, well, cool, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time. I definitely appreciate it. If you want to tell people where they can find out more about you, the blog URL, for instance, and Twitter.
So you can look at my stuff at subtractivedesign.blogspot.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn and on Twitter at Kynan Pearson on Twitter.
And if you make one of his designs, you have to pay him royalties. That's the deal.
Not necessarily. It's all good.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Please support Operation Supply Drop.